What is up, you guys? This is Lucas from GamesRadar, and I've beaten Sunset Overdrive.
And this is Ashley Reed, and I have not, but I have seen a little bit, and it looks pretty great. So, Lucas, tell me, what's the basic premise of this game?
So basically, in the near future, there's this energy drink called Overcharge, which is made by Fizzco, and it's turning everyone in Sunset City into horrific mutants. And now, Fizzco wants to exterminate all the evidence, aka the people who have witnessed the powerful effects of this energy drink. So, you play as a regular dude or dudette who rises up to become the hero of Sunset City. And there's a very punk rock vibe to the whole game. It's kind of anarchic and crazy and in your face. You don't have full-on superpowers. It's not that kind of game, but you somehow have the ability to grind and bounce on almost any object in the environment.
So what's the style of this game?
Well, first and foremost, Sunset City itself is absurdly good looking. It is seriously beautiful. That's mostly thanks to the use of color throughout the game. I remember you were watching me play for a little bit and you were saying, like, I can see every color of the rainbow on screen at this moment. But it's done in a very organic way. So it's a super vibrant game, but it's not just like throwing around crazy colors for the heck of it. And the visual style overall is pretty slick. The character models and animations are excellent, very smooth, and there's a little bit of texture popping, but there's no slowdown even when like the screen's just filled with visual effects. So I was saying the game has kind of a punk rock vibe. That's definitely present in the music, which is dynamic. That's kind of cool when you're doing really well and the music is like pumping and you're in the zone. Other times it's kind of awkward when you're just jumping and bouncing around in silence because you don't have high style. The character designs are kind of a mixed bag. Some are really awesome, others are kind of lame. A lot of the characters you're supposed to feel attached to are just not very interesting and not written very well, but others have really cool designs. I think of all the characters in the game, you, the player, is by far the most interesting. Like, some of the factions you meet in the game are cool in theory, but just end up feeling kind of half-baked.
Aww.
So when it comes to you, the character, there are only 4 basic body types, 2 male and 2 female to choose from. But there's a huge amount of face customizations and so many fashions you can pick from when mixing and matching clothes. And the voice acting is also really great. I really love my character. She's basically a wacky anarchist with a heart of gold, and she tends to break the fourth wall all the time, kind of like Deadpool would.
She sounds charming.
Yeah, and you probably know Insomniac Games, the developers from the Ratchet & Clank series, but this kind of takes the grown-up humor that they were flirting with in those games and really goes in on it. There's tons of swearing in the game, tons of crass jokes. Like, the first weapon you get is the flaming compensator, which is a shotgun shaped like a dick and balls. And the humor in the game is a little uneven. Sometimes it feels like it's trying too hard to be hip or edgy, like there's some groan-worthy Breaking Bad references or call-outs to websites. But other times it's genuinely clever. Like, you've probably seen in the previews, there are onomatopoeias that explode out when you do certain effects, and the player dialogue is just super silly and fun in some areas.
So what's the hook in this game? It seems like it's really movement-based. How do you move around in this world?
So it's extremely well tuned. If you've ever played like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or Jet Set Radio, it's very much in that same style. You can pretty much bounce, grind, swing, vault, wall run, and air dash around the map. And this all builds a style meter, which can activate powerful amp abilities that you can earn and equip. And it's super well done. Once you get the hang of it, it's so fun to just explore the world and zoom around. The game has fast travel, but I often found myself opting to just go, the normal way, just to explore the world, try to find like the perfect line of grinds and jumps and dashes. And I often ran around like for hours on end just for the fun of it. You can pretty much go around the entire city without ever setting foot on a flat surface, which is nuts. But even if you aren't super familiar with like trick-based grindy games, it's still pretty easy to get the hang of the movement and the mobility in this game. The controls are pretty forgiving even if you make a mistake, and the mobility powers are doled out in such a way that they don't overwhelm you. Like, you realize you're building on top of the stuff you already know. You actually said you hadn't really played the Tony Hawk games, and you were having a fine time moving around after like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't too difficult. It definitely wasn't as smooth as when you were playing, but it wasn't.
Takes a little practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's a blast.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. So how does all this crazy movement affect the gunplay parts of the game?
So this is kind of where Sunset Overdrive falters a little bit. The traversal by itself is just right, where it's not overly complicated and you figure stuff out as you're going. But when you add in gunplay to that mix, it can be a little hectic and it can feel like just too much. To incentivize you to move around instead of just standing there shooting at enemies, you'll basically die in seconds if you stay still. So you're supposed to, grind around while you shoot at people, bounce around in the air while you're, blasting someone on the ground. But it can be a little frustrating when you're trying to aim at someone and you're grinding on a rail and that rail, curves and then the camera's going all over the place. It's not too difficult the further you get in the game, but at first it can be very overwhelming. So if you've played any Insomniac games like Ratchet & Clank, then you probably know how inventive they can get with their weaponry.
Yeah.
And Sunset Overdrive is no exception. There's some really cool ones. My personal favorite is the explosive TN teddy bear gun. There's also like a fireworks launcher, acid sprinklers, a bowling ball shooter, like really, really cool designs. But the problem is, because you're moving around so much as you're trying to shoot stuff, the explosive weapons always end up being superior, just because you can sort of fire and forget. So the arsenal as a whole feels a little unbalanced. There's also the amp system, which lets you equip your weapons or yourself with cool abilities, and you can earn these over the course of the game. But they feel kind of limited, like they stop just when they're getting good. You get some pretty cool ones at the beginning of the game, like your melee attacks will shoot out a fireball. But then right when you're getting to the late game and you're getting like summon the Grim Reaper or activate a nuke, it kind of doesn't go a step further than that, and you're left wanting more. There's also some point-based defense missions in the game, which make use of traps that you can lay around the area, but they kind of feel superfluous. Like, the trap designs are really cool, but you only get to use them during certain missions, and they're just kind of there for no real reason.
So how does this work as an open world game?
So Sunset City itself is a pretty darn large world with 4 distinct areas, and it's packed with collectibles and side quests, as you'd probably expect. The missions vary in quality. Some are really great and unique. Others are kind of just fetch quests or kill X amount of these guys in 20 seconds or whatever. The side challenges also vary in quality. There's some that are really fun, like the traversal challenges, where you kind of grind around like a Tony Hawk style line and try to get it perfect. Others are just stupid, like vehicle missions that aren't fun at all. So it'll probably take about 12 to 15 hours to finish the main campaign, but if you want to go for full completion, it'll take many more hours past that, and that's thanks to the crazy amount of collectibles. The good thing is, since traversal is so fun, it's a treat to just run around collecting materials and smashing cameras from Fisco. It's a pretty good time.
So it's one of those games where you're going to love it after the story's done.
Yeah.
So this game has multiplayer, right?
Yeah, so there are photo booths all over the world, and they activate what's called Chaos Squads, which is an 8-player multiplayer session. Now, basically, it's just a series of challenges that build up to one of the nighttime defense missions. And the challenges are kind of cool. Like, you jump around collecting points, the floor becomes lava in one of them, you can control a wrecking ball. It's all pretty nifty. Your group can vote on which one to go to next. And honestly, to me, the most fun part was racing to where the next mission is going to be. Because when you're playing with other players, like, the game scales up all the enemy health, so you feel like you can barely kill the really hard stuff, whereas before it wasn't a problem. But when all 8 players are just running around the world seamlessly, it's way more fun to just race each other to where the next objective is. And it's weird because it uses a cumulative scoring system, and it's really impossible to like catch up to the person in the lead. You're probably not going to close the gap if you don't get an early head start. So honestly, the multiplayer, while fun, probably isn't going to extend the lifespan of the game too much.
So, what did you think of it overall?
So Sunset Overdrive really excels at traversal around an open world, but the gunplay kind of gets in the way of that. So while it's super fun, it can be kind of hard to come to grips with the action section, and the exploration is amazing. So overall, I give Sunset Overdrive a 4 out of 5. So if you want to read the full review of Sunset Overdrive, be sure to go to GamesRadar.com, and if you want to see more reviews of the latest games, just go to GamesRadar's YouTube page.